what people do that they call work on yourself, right, is to get into conflict with yourself. You know, that I'm trying to control. There's a part of me that knows I shouldn't do what I do that's an addiction, and there's a part of me that's addicted. That part's trying to control this part. Now you have conflict, right? Now you have conflict. And so that undermines the whole project, right? So in terms of what we're talking about here, the work we're talking about here is the work is to let go of what you've been holding on to that's driving you crazy and making you an addict. That's the work, you see? But that work is interesting because that work isn't work. That work isn't work. You're doing the work necessary to deal with what there is to deal with, right? But if you're doing that as a natural expression of who you are, it's not work. Don't try to change. Trying to change is going to set up a conflict and a problem that's going to create more trouble. Don't try and change. Trust the fact that the awareness that's always been aware of your thinking, your feelings, your behavior, your past, your future, you know, the awareness has been aware of that. Let that awareness do the work. You know, that's the problem, you see, as I was mentioning to Frank earlier, you know, is that there's confusion. Human beings are confused because you think that you're a doer. You think that you're an action figure. You think that you're the source of your behavior, right? So, you know, obviously, when it comes to addiction, the conventional model is you are a source of your behavior, right? So you have to learn how to control your behavior and deal with your craving and all the rest of it, right? Well, the track record for that is not very good. And where it does work, where it is good, like in 12-step programs, right? What's the first thing in a 12-step program? Is that not totally consistent with the idea that it's not up to you? Right?
What's the first step?
Yeah. Yeah, the first thing you have to do to benefit from the 12-step program is give up. Surrender, right? Surrender to what? Whatever you consider to be a higher power. If you're a Christian and it's God, fine, God. If you're a scientist and it's the universal consciousness or your cosmic consciousness, fine, let it be that. But stop considering yourself the source of things. Allow yourself to understand. See, now the paradox is that while that's the case, while thy will be done is the case, right? Part of thy will be done is you thinking that you have to do work. That's part of, see, the reason people don't understand thy will be done is because they split it. They say, oh, thy will be done applies to these, you know, to certain things, but not other things. No, thy will be done applies to all things. Applies to all things. So it takes a little time for you to catch on to how this works, right? You might still try and change and discover it doesn't work. But then gradually you'll start to realize, oh no, I don't have to change anymore because the awareness, when the light of this awareness sees what's happening, the fact that it sees what's happening and recognizes that it's not functional, sees what's happening and recognizes that it's a contradiction to what I want. It's not going to get me what I want. It's not going to get me happiness. It's not going to get me peace of mind. It's not going to have my relationships work. When that's seen from awareness, in the light of awareness, when that awareness is shining on what's happening starts changing. You're not changing. You're not changing. What's happening starts changing. What do I mean by that? Well, what's happening, like the thoughts you're having start being different thoughts, start being less reactive, but more realistic. The emotions you're having are emotions that you're no longer seeing as being caused by what's happening out there, but now you realize, no, it's the conditioning in here is where these emotions are coming from. It's the conditioning in here where these behaviors are coming from. And that conditioning is the conditioning of being a separate self. And now I can see that I'm not that, right? So it's time to update the software. It's time to update the operating system, okay? And that's not going to happen in one felt swoop because it took you years and years and years for this operating system to get put together, right? It should have been updated a long time ago, right? But we haven't learned from our own computers. We haven't learned from our own computers, right? So yeah, it's time to update that. And the process of updating that is a natural process. So I'm not talking about you doing anything. No, I'm talking about you continuing to give attention to the truth, you continuing to practice being awake and aware, and to apply that to your life. And as you do that, as you apply it to your life starts to work. Your life starts to work because you're no longer coming from confusion. You're no longer trying to be something that you're not. Now you're seeing things more clearly and you realize that there's nothing to fight about here. I can assert the truth. I can defend the truth. I can practice the truth. I can be a stand for the truth. But this is something that I'm going to have to gradually learn how to do that in the world, right? Because when you wake up and you discover your true nature, you realize, oh, that's what they meant. I am in the world, but not of the world. Oh, that's what they meant. My awareness is in the world, but it's not of the world. Yeah, when they say, you know, thy will be done, and the following sentence to that is, on earth as it is in heaven. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. What's that mean? It means that when I'm being here as my real true self, as awareness itself, I'm being my heavenly way. I'm being my heavenly being, right? And so I'm bringing that to practice in the world, but that's not of this world, but that's in this world. And that then becomes the practice that you're doing once you're awake. You know, so there's the awakening, you wake up. There's that, and people talk about that like it's a glimpse or it's a foretaste, right? But it doesn't last, right? So the first thing you want to do is you want to get some consistency with that awareness, right? And that's why the practice of meditation is so useful. You want to get some consistency with that awareness. And if you get some consistency with that awareness, then you can start to have it be what you are in the world as you're dealing with your life and your circumstances and your relationships. And then it's a gradual process of letting go of what's not working and embracing what is working. Gradual process. But the thing about it that's interesting is that you don't have to do anything. The changes that occur are occurring as an energetic dynamic that's happening. You're not making it happen. You're not making it happen, but your awareness is the guidance that guides how it's happening. And so all you have to do is be awake. That's the beauty of these teachings and practices. All you have to do is be awake and bring that awake awareness that is not personal, that is already peaceful and complete, that's already happy, that's already having a good time, you know, to bring that to the party, to bring that to life, to bring that to your relationships. And then let that show you how to be. Let that, allow yourself to discover how your true nature is in the world. And one of the things you'll find out that's interesting is that in the beginning, a lot of people get the impression that, oh, that means that I become very soft-spoken, very quiet, very passive, very peaceful. That means that I don't ever get angry, I don't raise my voice, I don't fight with people. You know, everybody has this image, right? Saintly, you're gonna be saintly, right? That's bullshit. Really, that's bullshit. That is such a bad myth, right? Because if you do experience what it's like to be what you really are in the world, one of the things you'll discover is there's a time to take a stand for the truth. There's a time to take a stand. You don't go along with ignorance. That's not your nature as the truth, right? Now you become like an act of nature. So yeah, it becomes a process of discovery. You know, you discover that if you start to practice being a certain way because you think that's the way you would be if you're awake, that's not it. There is no, see, that's the key. There is no way that you are. There is no way that awareness is there? No, it has no identity. It has no particular form. It has no particular pattern, right? And that's the beauty of it, because it means that it has available to it all possibility. Instead of just the thinking you can do as a conditioned person, now you can do thinking that's truly creative, that's not coming from your conditioning, it's not coming from your past. It's coming from your desire to be functional. It's coming from your desire to be in harmony. It's coming from your desire to have the truth be aligned with your behavior. You want to behave honestly and authentically and truthfully in the world. And that may mean that there may be times when you say no. There may be times when you push back, right? There may be times when you take a stand for the truth and you will not move off that stand. It doesn't mean that you're being right. It's not about righteousness, right? It doesn't mean that you're trying to control anything. You're simply taking a stand, right? And you will not waver from that stand. Now, that takes a little practice, right? Because you're used to being right. You know, you're used to being manipulative and controlling, right? But this is a different way of being. This is a different way of being. This is authenticity. This is clarity. This is being able to say no and not have to explain yourself. To just say no, right? Now, other people may not like that. You may get people that get pissed off at you. You may get people who get very reactive about that and want to fight with you about that, right? Well, but that's part of the way that life occurs when you're committed to the truth. So it doesn't matter. You see, when you're committed to the truth and you know that who you're being and what you're being is authentic and real and truthful, right? It no longer matters to you whether other people like it or not. It doesn't matter. You can tolerate the fact that people might not like you. Let me give you an example of this, because this is really at the heart of the matter, right? Because ontological understanding, the word ontology means being, the study of being, right? Ontological understanding is very valuable. What is the technology of being? One of my teachers, that was his whole teaching, the technology of being, right? But check this out, just to kind of see if you can get a little inside sense of this. In your waking state, right, in your normal waking state, okay, you consider yourself to be some personality or some identity or some entity that resides somewhere back here looking through these eyes, right? Common thing, right? Ordinary thing, right? And then you go to sleep at night and you dream, right? Now the one who is looking through these eyes is sleeping. These eyes are closed. Who's seeing the dream? What's seeing the dream? Well, that's what I call a smart, right answer. But it's the right answer, but I'm not asking you to give me the right answer. I'm asking you to look for yourself at that question. When I'm sleeping and my eyes are closed and the one who's awake looking through these eyes is sleeping with their eyes closed, and there's a dream happening. And when that dream's happening, there's a seeing of what's happening in the dream, right? Well, who's that?
But while it's
You say it's me, right? I'm dreaming, right? But it's not you. It's not the you that's the you when you're awake with your eyes open, is it? No, it's not that. So we say it's me dreaming, but it's not the same me as awake during the day. And your eyes are closed, so you're not looking through the eye. So what's seeing? You're not looking through your eyes. So what's seeing? Seeing is happening when you're dreaming, is it not? Yes. Yeah. Because if I ask you what happened last night, you said, I had a dream. Right. Yeah. But you're filling in the blank because you don't have an answer for it. Right? But you never slowed. See, this is one of these things. You never slow down long enough to actually really look. If you really slow down long enough to actually really look, you can see, oh, wait a minute. It's not the seeing that's happening when I'm awake, and I'm not using my eyes to see, but they're seeing when I'm dreaming. What is seeing? What? Your brain doesn't see anything. We can do an operation and open up your skull and try and find what's seeing. There's nothing there. It's just brain tissue. There's nothing there. So what's seeing? I really want you to slow down and look at this, right? And the reason I want you to slow down and look at this is because I say what's seeing is the same what's seeing that's seeing during the day. Right? But you believe that during the day it's you. That's your conditioning. That's all. It's just your conditioning. You believe that during the day you're the one looking through these eyes and seeing. Well, then who's seeing at night when these eyes are closed and the one who's seeing during the day is sleeping? Well, but the bottom line is, it's the same phenomena that's happening during the day, but you've got talked out of it. You got conditioned to believe something else is going on. And that something else that you got conditioned to believe is going on doesn't work with the dream. So you have to make something up and just say, oh, I was dreaming. Even though the evidence doesn't suggest that at all. Doesn't suggest it at all.